Hello, dear children. Let us continue the second part of your geography chapter, Motions of the Earth, the third chapter. Boys, in our first part of the chapter, we have learned about the motions of the Earth, rotation, revolution, orbital plane, circle of illumination, leap year, elliptical orbit, then how to identify a year, whether it is leap year or not. I already cleared you to divide a year by 4, and if you get remainder 0, that year is called a leap year. And you must know a leap year, in a leap year, the month of February has 29 days instead of 28 days. And it is because of the Earth takes 365 and 1 by 4 days to revolve around the sun. So this 1 by 4 days, after 4 years it become 24 hours. So 1 by 4 means 6 hours. So far we have learned about this. And seasons, different seasons, how it occurred, some idea we got here. Seasons change due to the change in the position of the Earth around the sun. It is because of the position of the Earth around the sun we are experiences with different seasons. In the picture you have seen summer season, winter season, spring seasons. So these different seasons, and you see the Earth, how it is revolving around the sun, and it is experiencing with different seasons. So now let us continue the remaining part of the chapter. Let us see page number 20. Let's do another experiment. It comes here, boys, which you need to do. Do you know how to draw an ellipse? An ellipse means a regular oval shape. Do you know how to draw it? Take a pencil, 2 pins, and a loop of thread. Now fix these pins on a paper as shown in the figure. Towards your left margin, you can see how it is drawn here. So you need to take a pencil, 2 pins like alpine, and a loop of thread. Now fix these pins on a paper as shown in the figure. So you have to fix both the pins as shown in the figure. Put the loop on the paper enclosing these 2 pins inside the loop. So you need to put the loop on the paper enclosing these 2 pins inside the loop. Now hold the pencil and draw the line. Hold the pencil and you draw the line, keeping the thread tight. You should not make your thread loose. You have to keep the thread tightly and moving the pencil along it. The figure represents an ellipse. In this way, you will get an ellipse figure. Now, let us see. Look at the figure 3.3. Let us see figure 3.3. Yeah, here you will see that on 21st June, the northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun. Let us see again the figure of 3.3, where on 21st June, the northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun. So 21st June, you can observe towards the left side of this on this diagram. Summer in the northern hemisphere, summer solstice, 21st June. Yes. Then again back to the chapter. The rays of the sun fall directly on the Tropic of Cancer. So at the time, the rays of the sun, it falls directly in a direct fashion on the Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer means the parallel of latitude, that is 23 degree and 26 minutes north of the equator. As a result, these areas receive more heat. So, rays of the sun is vertical here, and as a result of this, as the rays of the sun fall directly on the Tropic of Cancer, that is why these areas it receive more heat. The areas near the poles receive less heat as the rays of the sun are slanting. So, more heat we get here in the Tropic of Cancer, and as a result, these areas it receive more heat, and the areas near the poles, so whether it is North Pole or the South Pole, it receives less heat. It is because of the rays of the sun are slanting. Slanting means sloping fashion. Okay, so you see during noon time, boys, when the sun is over our head, we are getting vertical rays of the sun. Rays of the sun, it falls directly on us. So we are experienced with very hot or hottest part of the day. And during, say, sunrise or sunset, the rays of the sun, it falls on us in slanting, in sloping fashion or slanting fashion. So that time we receive less hot. So likewise, these poles, whether North Pole or South Pole, receive less heat as the rays of the sun are in slanting fashion or sloping fashion. The North Pole is inclined towards the sun. The North Pole, it inclined, that means towards the sun. And the places beyond the Arctic Circle experience continuous daylight for about 6 months. And that's why here is the North Pole is inclined towards the sun, and the places beyond the Arctic Circle experience continuous daylight for about 6 months. 6 months daylight experience in that area. Since a large portion of the northern hemisphere is getting light from the sun, it is summer in the regions north of the equator. Boys, is a large part of the northern hemisphere is getting light from the sun. Large portion of the northern hemisphere is getting light from the sun. So it is summer season in the regions north of the equator. The longest day and the shortest night at these places occur on 21st June. You come on, mark this, mark it in your book. The longest day and shortest night at these places occur on 21st June. At this time, in the southern hemisphere, all these conditions are reversed. Move backward. It is in reverse. So at this time, in the southern hemisphere, all these conditions, whatever we have mentioned here, these are reversed, different. It is winter season there. So at the time, that very area will receive winter season. The nights are longer than days. Earlier we find nights are shorter than days. Now, here in the winter season, we find nights are longer than the days. This position of the earth is called the summer solstice. So, this position of the earth, it is known as the summer solstice. On 22nd December, the Tropic of Capricorn receives direct rays of the sun as the south pole tilts towards it. So on 22nd December, the Tropic of Capricorn means the parallel of latitude, that is 23 degree and 26 minutes south of the equator, receives direct rays of the sun as the south pole tilts towards it. As the sun's rays fall vertically at the Tropic of Capricorn, that is 23.5 degrees south, a larger portion of the southern hemisphere gets light, and it is because of that region a larger part of the southern hemisphere it gets light. Therefore, it is summer in the southern hemisphere with longer days and shorter nights, and that is why it is summer in the southern hemisphere with longer days and shorter nights. The reverse happens in the northern hemisphere. So, in the northern hemisphere, it comes, that means it happens, totally changes, opposite. The reverse happens in the northern hemisphere. This position of the earth is called the winter solstice. So, this position of our earth, it is called the winter solstice. Boys, what is summer solstice? What is winter solstice? I think in textual question, so no, it has not given. If it is not given, you have to learn by heart this. What is summer solstice? What is winter solstice? Do you know that Christmas is celebrated in Australia in summer season? What is the reason behind it? Christmas is celebrated in Australia in summer season. You may surprised to hear that how it happened. Generally, Christmas is observed on 25th of December in every part of the world. But see boys, the time Christmas is celebrated in the month of December 25, we are having here winter days. So at the same time, Australia, they have summer days. Yes, that means one is to the northern hemisphere and that is to the southern hemisphere. And that is why in Australia, Christmas is celebrated in summer season. On 21st March and September 23rd, direct rays of the sun fall on the equator. Because you know, equator divides the earth into two hemispheres. Upper one is known as northern hemisphere and the lower one is known as southern hemisphere. So on 21st March and September 23rd, direct rays of the sun it falls on the equator. At this position, neither of the poles is tilted towards the sun. So when that means direct rays of the sun it falls on the equator in such condition, neither of the poles it is tilted towards the sun. So the whole earth experiences equal days and equal nights. And that is why, see, the whole earth experiences equal days and equal nights. You mark this one also, mark from on 21st March and September 23rd. Direct rays of the sun fall on the equator. At this position, neither of the poles is tilted towards the sun. So the whole earth experiences equal days and equal nights. When does it happen? You have to know this, okay? This is called an equinox. So underline this term also. What is an equinox? You have to answer this one also. Towards the left side, another experiment which you need to do. See here, boys. Let's do. To understand the Earth's inclination in the same direction, draw a big ellipse on the ground and take a flag with a stick. Stand anywhere on the line of the ellipse. Point your flag to a fixed point far away like on a tree top. Now move along the ellipse, keeping your flag always pointing towards the fixed point. In this way, the axis of the earth remains inclined permanently. So it remains permanently inclined in the same position. The revolution of the earth and the inclination of the earth's axis in a fixed direction cause seasons. So the revolution of the earth and the inclination of the earth's axis in a fixed direction it causes seasons. So it will be helpful for you boys. Must get through this one. Let us continue the remaining part of the chapter. On 23rd September, it is autumn season in the northern hemisphere and spring season in the southern hemisphere. You can see here in the northern hemisphere it is autumn season, the time when it is autumn season in the northern hemisphere. At the time in the southern hemisphere there is spring season. The opposite is the case of 21st March. So on 21st March we observe opposite there when it is spring in the northern hemisphere and autumn in the southern hemisphere. At the time it is spring in the northern hemisphere and autumn in the southern hemisphere. Means uh, different hemispheres, their seasons are different here. Thus, you find that there are days and nights and changes in the seasons because of the rotation and revolution of the earth respectively. Because in this way, you find here what? That there are days and nights and changes in seasons. Why it occur? It is because of the rotation and revolution of the earth. It is because of that. Now, let us see these exercises questions. Boys, these exercises questions as well as some extras we have already sent you by making PDF. Even though, let us recapitulate it, and if you have any doubt, you can clear it. Number one, you see, answer the following questions briefly. Here direction has given, you have to answer the following questions briefly. Voice direction, as and when you are answering any question, you need to see the direction. If the question asks to answer in a full sentence, you have to write that question's answer in full sentence. And if the question asks answer in as short as possible or single word, at the time you are supposed to answer the question in a single word. So according to the direction which is given in the question, you have to answer. Here it asks to answer the following questions briefly. Now let us see first question. What is the angle of inclination of the Earth's axis with its orbital plane? Answer you will write. The angle of inclination of the Earth's axis with its orbital plane is 66 half degree. So main key is here 66.5 degree. So you have to answer in a full sentence here. Now let us see the next question. Define rotation and revolution. First, rotation. The movement of the earth on its axis is called rotation. So here you must know the earth takes 24 hours for a complete rotation. Don't forget this one, okay? Then revolution. It is the movement of the earth around the sun in a fixed path or an orbit, okay? Or the movement of the earth around the sun in a fixed path or an orbit is called a revolution. So what is rotation and what is revolution? You have learned. Then next question, what is a leap year? Boys, I think that means in our PDF file by mistake I typed arts text apostrophe s should not be there, okay? Here again I have corrected. Now see here, you must write art, okay? No apostrophe s should be there. Art takes 365 and 1 by 4 days to complete one revolution around the sun. Our Earth takes 365 days and 365 and 1 by 4 days. 1 by 4 days me equal to 6 hours. Okay. So for convenience, we count 365 days in a year. The remaining 6 hours, that is 1 by 4, okay? So the remaining 6 hours of every year are added to make one day over a span of 4 years. So after 4 years, that 1 by 4 days, it converted into 24 hours. So the years to which one day is added has 366 days and it is called a leap year. Once again, let me repeat the same answer. Earth takes 365, 1 by 4, same answer. 1 by 4 days to complete one revolution around the sun. For convenience, we count 365 days in a year. The remaining 6 hours of every year are added to make one day over a span of 4 years. The years to which one day is added has 366 days and it is called a leap year. Now, next question, differentiate between the summer and winter solstice. So, to differ these two, you can copy it from your PDF file by making tabulation. You have shown that, you write from there. Next question, E. What is an equinox? On 21st March and September 23rd, direct rays of the sun fall on the equator. At this position, neither of the poles, neither means whether that means it is North Pole or South Pole, neither of the poles is tilted towards the sun. Therefore, the whole earth experiences equal days and equal nights. This position is called an equinox. Now next, question number F. Why does the southern hemisphere experience winter and summer solstice in different times than that of the northern hemisphere? Boys, this answer also you have to copy from your PDF file. So it is a bit long answer which I have given. You have to learn that one. Then the next question. Why do the poles experience about 6 months day and 6 months night? What is the reason behind it? Let us see. You will give the answer like this. The poles experience 6 months of day and 6 months of night due to the inclination of the earth on its own axis. This inclination keeps one pole towards the sun and another pole away from the sun for 6 months each. This is the reason behind this condition, or this is the reason why the poles experience about 6 months day and 6 months night. Now, let us see. Number 2, tick the correct answers. Here, each question has 3 alternatives. Among them, only one alternate is correct or best. You have to choose the correct one and then you have to tick mark that correct one. Boys, these questions you must remember for these are important. It will important all the times. MCQ question for MCQ question, like that. So, first one, the movement of the earth around the sun is known as, so movement of the earth around the sun is known as options are given: rotation, revolution, inclination. So movement of the earth around the sun, it takes 365 days and 1 by 4. Okay, hours, that means 365 and 1 by 4 days here. So your answer will be revolution. So you tick this revolution, second option. Next one, direct rays of the sun fall on the equator on which date you have to write. Okay, you have to choose the date. First option is 21st March, second one 21st June, third one 22nd December. So correct answer is 21st March, that is 21 March. You tick it. This one is the best of correct answer. Next, C. Christmas is celebrated in summer in. You have to mark which one is correct. Christmas, in our, that means India, in which season it is to celebrate it. So it asks summer season. So your correct answer, three options are Japan, India, Australia. You will tick Australia. Australia is the correct answer. Next one. Cycle of the seasons is caused due to, which one is correct? Whether rotation or revolution or gravitation. So second option, that is revolution, is the correct answer. You tick revolution. So for exam perceptives, these questions are important, remember, boys. Now let us see third one, fill in the blanks. You have to fill up the blanks, fill in the blanks. A leap year has dash number of days. So we have learned, boys, number of days in a leap year is 366. You will write here 366. That is 366. You can write it in number also or in a spelling also. 366. No matter. Just write 366. That is enough. Then next one, the daily motion of the artist. The daily motion, the daily movement of the artist. What do you call it? Rotation. You have to write rotation. 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 Okay. In the blank, we'll write rotation. Next one. The Earth travels around the sun in an elliptical orbit. So in the blank, you will write an elliptical. N-A-N-N, elliptical. E-L-L-I-P-T-I-C-A-L, elliptical. Next one. The sun's rays fall vertically on the Tropic of Cancer on 21st June. So in the blank, you will write Cancer. C-A-N-C-E-R. Cancer. Then next one. Days are shorter during winter season. W-I-N-T-E-R. Winter. So days are shorter during winter seasons. So learn all this in a nice manner so that as and when anybody asks any questions, You must capable of answering these questions. So let us conclude here the third chapter of your geography. All of you, see you again. Thank you all.